This presentation is going to be about wayfinding and wayshowing, the design principles that will help for better website navigation. Now, bear in mind that these design principles apply to many other areas of design. Traditionally, we look at them for architecture, for landscape design, for signage, and for branded environments. But be aware that even for a printed document, people have to find their way through that. For a virtual environment, people need to find their way through that. And certainly for a website, you need to find your way through that website. The term wayfinding was first coined by Kevin Lynch in his book Image of the City in 1960. It's the way people find their way through an environment based on external sensory cues. For example, to go to Kmart, go down the road till you get to the hardware shop, turn right and go over the roundabout. To find our way through an environment, we have to take 3 steps. First is searching for the way to go. Secondly, making a decision to go that way. And finally, setting ourselves in motion to travel along that path. So to do all of these things, there are basic tasks of wayfinding. First, orientation. Does the user know where they are at all moments in using your website? Compare this to orienteering, which many people will be familiar with when they went to high school, maybe going on a camp, given a map and a compass and put in the middle of nowhere and told, find your way back. So orienteering requires you to know where you are on that map. There's not much point in trying to find your way somewhere else if you actually don't know where you're starting from. Route decision. Can the person identify the best route to take to their destination? And we'll use the orienteering analogy again. If you're starting at your beginning point, you need to go to a hut on a mountain peak. Can you identify on that map the best way to get there? Now, it might not be the most direct path because that might take you off a cliff. So you need to be able to decide the best route to get to the place where you are going. Route monitoring. Does the person know they're following the right path to their destination at all times? So if you start wandering off that decided path, that's really going to make it hard to get to where you're going. So they need to know they are continuing on that path that they have chosen earlier. Destination recognition. So once they get to where they're going to, do they know that they've actually got there? Do they know they've got to their destination when they arrive? So that's wayfinding. What is wayshowing? Wayshowing is what designers do. The users use wayfinding to find their way around a designed environment or a natural environment. Designers, though, can use particular tools to assist them. These are wayfinding principles that help people navigate through an environment. So one of the ways you can help with wayshowing. To assist with orientation or knowing where you are at all times, you can create a difference at each location. Consistency across the design is important in maintaining a strong brand look and feel. However, the pages need to be different enough that the user can tell they're on a different page. This can be achieved through different headings indicating the current page, through active page links displaying the current page in the menu in a different way, or through using different images. This is the home page of Swinburne University website. Notice how the main elements of the layout are consistent across the pages. The top menu, hero image in the header and logo remain the same. The content area is consistent, as is the use of secondary navigation to the right. But there is enough variation, especially with the different header images, to let a user know they are on a different page. The Haskell website clearly shows which page a user is on, using contrasting menu items to indicate the current page. You can see that with the black menu item at the top there. In physical environments, landmarks can help people orient themselves to a frame of reference. The clocks at Flinders Street Station have long been a landmark for Melburnians to give them a place to meet. Large buildings that can be seen from a distance help people understand where they are in a city. With websites, this can be achieved by having the menu in the same place on each page, a place to refer back to, and by ensuring users can always get back to the home page, which is often the basic frame of navigational reference for a website. In web design, your home page is the most recognisable landmark. If a user has problems finding a page, often they'll go back to the home page and try to navigate from there. The logic being that most navigation is constructed with the home page as the starting point, so often it's easier to find a path from there. Another tip is to create a well-structured path. Well-structured paths have a clear beginning, middle and end. They're easy to follow to the destination and easy to backtrack to get back to the point of origin. This helps the user know where they are in relation to their point of origin and their destination, as well as how long or how many clicks it will take them to get there. In web design, drop-down menus are a clear way of showing a path between one location and the next. Complex drop-downs are fine, provided the complexity is well designed and explained so that it is not confusing. The key is providing a journey for the user to go on. In this example, the start point of the journey is clubs. You can then find the path by looking at men's, women's, Odyssey, putters, etc. Once you choose the path, you can then find which location you're heading for instance, wedges and Mac Daddy PM grind. Many websites use breadcrumb navigation trails to show users the path back to the home page. They use the term breadcrumb from the fairy story Hansel and Gretel. And if you remember that, when the children were cast into the forest by their evil stepmother, Hansel broke up little bits of bread behind him to leave a trail to get back home. Now, in the story, it did not work too well because birds came and ate the crumbs. But for some reason, we still decide we're going to use the term breadcrumb navigation to show this trail back home. Breadcrumb navigation trails are unobtrusive, so they don't disrupt the user experience for people who are not looking for that additional navigation support. And many websites use them. So take a note next time you go online. Just have a look up the top and see if they do have that breadcrumb navigation available to you. Another tip is to create regions of differing visual character. This is similar to creating differences on each page, but in this case, it's creating a difference for a category of pages. In this example, different menu categories have different colours. Using the colour groups for drop-down menus helps users understand the context of the pages they are navigating to. Code Academy uses colour coding for different learning paths. Web design is blue, general coding is purple. So they colour code each of their courses depending on what you are studying. When you click through the purple theme link for general coding, you are shown that you've landed on the correct page because it too is coloured purple. Similarly, when you click through the blue theme links for learning web coding, you know you've arrived in the correct place because the page contains the blue theme. Why does this one have light green in the corner though? Well, light green is the colour for JavaScript courses in Code Academy. This web design course includes some JavaScript, so they include the JavaScript colour on its page. Large, complex sites can benefit from having colour coding. USA Today uses different colours for different sections of their site. This can be seen by the coloured lines above each link in the navigation bar. It's quite subtle, but the colours are more prominent on the pages themselves, so the user knows they're in the right location. Blue is news, red is sports, purple is life, and so on. Don't give the user too many choices in navigation. In the early days of the web, the rule was never to make the user click more than 3 links to get to any information they're looking for. This created a culture of shallow menus, but it also meant the pages were cluttered with links. As an example, this is the Yahoo homepage from 2000. As you can see, it is very confusing, but it was what users were used to at the time. Now web designers think about the particular task users are likely to do and create clear paths to assist them. So this website is to assist people with tax returns in India, and it assumes you are there for one of two tasks, either starting your tax return now or to upload a particular form. So it makes those two choices very simple on their homepage. Now it is better to understand your users' mental models. What information are they looking for? How would they structure it? What categories would they use? And how would they rank the information? What path does this create? This is why we had you do the brainstorming activities earlier in this semester, where you came up with ideas of all the possible pages, but then we had you rank them and we had you put them in categories. Normally you would do this with a focus group of your target audience so you could start to understand their mental model and where they would rank things and categorize them, because then you can start creating a path that makes sense to your users. So here's a task with which you can test your wayfinding skills. Go to the Swinburne website at swinburne.edu.au. Find a PhD supervisor. Spend a few minutes seeing if you can find a potential PhD supervisor. Make a note of the path that you took to get there and have a think about why you decided to go that way. Because it's surprising how many different ways people can go through a website to find the same page. There are different logical paths to find information. So for instance, you could go via research, find a researcher or supervisor, or you could go with study with us, master's, PhD and graduate study, research degrees, find a supervisor, etc. There are many different ways you can actually find that page. Now, the Swinburne website is a complex website with many pages. So they have to create different pathways for different mental models to get to that information. If you're building a simple 4-page website, of course, you don't have to consider those pathways quite as much. So with your own website, think about what paths a user might take to find information. Are you providing alternative pathways for different routes? Do you provide a point of visual difference at each location? Is there still visual consistency in your design across all of the pages? Are you color coding regions of information? Now, bear in mind, if you are building a simple 4-page website, color coding your regions could actually disrupt the visual consistency with no clear benefit of wayfinding. So bear that in mind and really think hard if you need to do that on a simple website. Is it easy to find your way back to the home page? Is navigation consistent through all of your pages? And do you show too many navigation choices with the potential to confuse your users?